Hello everyone. So we've been struggling with managing communication in Slack for a while. We have both clients and interns in the same space. So a lot of interns will ask repetitive questions that we really don't want to answer twice. So to solve that problem, as well as we realize as we onboarding new interns and doing some more explorative projects, we realize a lot of docs we actually don't have in place. Not all the information is in our head. So to solve those two problems, we developed this Slack bot. So I will first show you what it looks like to interact with the bot. Then I will walk you through the detail of the design. So there are two channels. One is specifically for uploading a doc. Then it will just go to the backend database. And the second channel is where people can ask a question if they add the bot. When the question is asked the first time, if the bot doesn't have the information from the database, it will just say don't know and add the admin. Then the admin can come in and answer. But before that, it will also give you a generic answer, because sometimes the question is not for a specific piece of information. Like, for example, when the intern asking like very directional or guidance, it's just like a mentor coaching or thinking process. So we have this generic answer as a backup. So when the question is answered and it's from admin, it will directly go to the database. So next time when you ask the same question again, it will just give you the answer. So in terms of workflow, we use the two workflow to solve them separately. For the Slack doc insert is pretty straightforward. It's literally just upload the file and go to the backend Pinecone. So I will walk you through this one is more detailed, where there are different situations you need to consider. So there are three branches. On the top is basically a branch to capture questions, and the other two are the two branches to capture answer. Because sometimes the answer directly come from the admin, then just go to the database. But sometimes the answer is provided by group member, and then it requires the admin's approval to update that answer into the database. So overall, in the Slack event, we only track two types. One is the message, and the bot is mentioned in that message, because we don't want the bot to interact with all types of conversations. And the second is we track the reactions, and it need to be specific type of reactions. So when the bot is mentioned in a message, we first track if the message is on the top of the thread or comes from the conversation part of the thread. Because when it's in the beginning, we consider it as a question. If it comes from the bottom part, then we only look for answers. So if it is the top question, then we first ask GPT to check if this actually is a question. If it is not a question, then we'll just send a friendly message to remind the user how to use this bot. And if it is a question, then we'll go ahead to find the answer in our database, where we use Pinecone here. And this is a basic setup that I'm not gonna walk you through here. If the answer exists, then we'll retrieve it and send it back to the answer. And if it doesn't, then it will just reply, I don't know the answer, and it will add the admin. Then it will add the question to the Google Sheet. So inside the Google Sheet, inside the Google Sheet, we have two types. One is the question not answered. That's what the node just does. Then the second tab is when the answer is provided but not directly from the admin. Then we track if that message is accepted. So those are the first branch to track the questions. Now let's look at the second branch, where the event is still a message that add the bot, but it is not the top of the thread. So that's where we look for answers. And when we look for answer, we first want to pair it with the question, so we know where to put it in the table. So we look for if the question already existed. Basically, inside each Slack message inside the thread, it has information to point to the original question, the beginning of the thread. Then that's the first information we want to get. And second, we check if this new message comes from an admin. If it is from admin, then we'll pin the original questioner and just accept this question as a correct answer and update it to the database down the road. And if it doesn't come from an admin, then we'll wait for the confirmation from the actual admin. But at the same time, we track the answer into a Google Sheet. It's just on the second tab in the answers pending. So the last branch is to track the reactions. So this is where the admin confirm the message, the answer from group member. So there are 4 criteria we need to hit before taking it in. So in programming, you will just write like for and condition, right? But in n8n, like it doesn't allow you to have that very complicated logic in a single node. Like for example, inside this one, because we have 2 admin, we have an OR, and inside each node, you can only have one type of logic relationship. So we have this layer, and then we have this and between the nodes. So instead of like usually visually, you may want to put them into 4 branches, but we just put them into a sequence because they just need to happen. But it doesn't have to be in this sequence. That's what I'm trying to say. So the 4 conditions are, first, we want to find the answer that reaction is reacting to. So we check if the answer exists. And also we want to check if the answer is already accepted, because if it is already accepted, like for example, the check mark is removed for some reason and added back, we don't want to redo the work, so we'll just drop here. So only if it's true, it's not accepted, then we continue. Then we check, not everyone's reaction matters. We only care if the reaction comes from admin, and if it's not from admin, we just drop it. And if it is from admin, then we check if the reaction is the reaction we are looking for. But here we also designed this not super necessary, it's just for human tolerance, where if, like for example, the admin accidentally clicked the verification emoji, we give them a waiting time to correct that if they didn't actually mean it. So we waited that, and if the reaction is still same, then we further check if the reaction is accepting it or is rejecting it. So the white check mark is just this check mark. The official name is called a white check mark. So if that is the case, we accept the answer and get the data, then just upload to the Pinecone. If it is not, then we'll just reject it and drop that answer. So that's overall. So the last part is, once we got the question and answer, we pair them together and use a code node to merge them into a single string, so we can convert it to a file and upload it to Pinecone, and Pinecone have to take in a file here. So the only tricky part is, in the beginning, we didn't know that in Slack API, you can not only pointing from the top of the message to the thread message to the reaction, you can pointing back as well. So for that reason, like if we knew that before building this, we didn't have to have this waiting confirmation message route at all, because like the logic in this template is you track the message before it is approved. So if we knew that API was available, that you can track the reaction to the message, we didn't have to track the original message at all until it is approved. So it will be a little bit cleaner. So that's one thing we could improve. And the second thing is, the biggest lesson is Slack has some core concept that you really need to understand before reading through the doc, and that causes some issue in the beginning. But the second thing we could improve is we currently don't have a centralized place to examine the uploaded doc. It just upload is dropped. It's the original file isn't stored anywhere, and it's not together with the sheet either. So we could have a place where the Google Drive is in the workflow where we can examine, because we want to balance both the convenience and the control. If the things are all right, just go ahead and do the thing. But if things didn't go right, or in the future we need to have some flexibility to track the file format and other directories, we want to have that level of control. I hope that's helpful. See you next time.